welcome back to Her Perspective. Today we have been discussing a very exciting topic, sexuality in marriage and the single life. And our two guests, I'm going to ask them, is it necessary, ladies, to remain chaste before marriage? Sandra?
Yes. I think outside of religion, outside of spirituality, let the man wait. Let him have something to look forward to. You can't just open all of the package one time. Suspense.
Denisha? Yeah, Denisha?
Barring the puss in the bag syndrome, yes, I do think it's important. Necessary, yeah. and necessary also for a woman to remain chaste before marriage. And I can speak from experience that it's a gift. And I regret that I didn't leave my gift unopened until after marriage. It's something that you have and you cherish, and if you really love this person and you want to spend the rest of your life and all of that, what better gift to give him on his wedding day than
why is the influence always on women though? But we'll explore that after the Vox Pop.
I am a married woman, but I was not a virgin when I was married. I don't believe in it for once. When you get married, what if the sex part don't work out? What are you going to do? You're going to divorce? Some churches don't believe in divorce. I think people should go ahead and try the sex thing first before they get married, so they know what they are getting into.
Based on biblical principles, people should remain a virgin before they marry, because the Bible substantiates that in every ways, and I believe that is what people should do.
It depends on the family you come from, to on the background, and you're bringing up. But I think people should really wait. But you're not going to have it in every case. People are going to wait. Some people are going to experiment, because experimentation causes people to get pregnant in the first place. But I think they should wait, because you have time where you can think about your education, and then...
Yes, I believe in remaining a virgin until you're married, because of my Christian background and what the biblical aspect of it. Nothing wrong with remaining a virgin until you are married. You both partner go to the doctor, and the doctor can examine you, and after that you can have a normal marriage. Both of you come to a mutual agreement, and nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, me broke my virginity when I'm very young still. I don't know about the next man them. But basically, when you love a person, you can express yourself, you know. It's not that thing where you can rush or you can wait, but when you love the person, definitely, you see what I say?
Interesting comments from the members of the public. Should one really remain chaste before marriage? Why is it, ladies, that the emphasis is placed, or seems to be placed, on females remaining chaste before marriage rather than the men?
I think two things. One, it's how we've been socialized. The woman has that very valuable possession that she must keep under lock and key, just how we were socialized. But also, if anything should go amiss, it is more obvious with the woman than with the man. So the onus is then on her to keep it safe and secure until it's time for it to be called forth.
Yes, and I guess that brings into question some of the influences that determines how we think and behave sexually. And at the beginning of the program, certain points came out that there's the nature-nurture debate.
Yeah.
There are some persons who will tell you that they can't help themselves.
Right.
Their sexual drive is as if it's
too
out
high.
of control.
Them can't control it.
But what about those who will tell it based on genes?
But Lorraine, even before you move on to that place,
Yeah.
you know, as you're talking about the different roles of male versus female, we've also been cultured into thinking that sexual initiation must start with the man.
Yes.
The man must initiate that first
That's it,
sexual
yes.
encounter. Whereas you have women who will want to initiate, but because I'm the one, no, I must sit
Yes, and
quietly.
some men are turned off by the fact that a woman initiates.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so culture is important. Genes
is important.
Yeah.
So talk to us, Sandra. Some people would say, boy, my sex drive is just, it's so high, I don't know what's happening, why am I thinking about it all the time?
And the cold water not working.
Yeah, the cold water, the exercise, none of them think they now work. But when you probably do a study or take stock, their parents, or probably even down the generation there, somebody or both sides probably had very high sex drives. How can that influence the
genetics?
product? Yeah, how? But
it's genes passing from one generation to another. But guess now, environment. You are aware of it. You identify it as a challenge. You yourself, through positive thinking and everything else, can help to alleviate that. Because if you have that urge and you continue to visit those websites and have these books to read and on your phone and everything else and everything, you're just actually adding fertilizer to the feeling. But if you know and you are able to identify it, then you put certain things in place to help you to get out of it. When I say get out of it, I mean to kind of
deal with it.
Manage it.
Manage is
So
the word.
it's like a man who has a liquor problem can't be always doing.
going to the liquor
Right,
store,
it's an
driving
addiction.
cars to the liquor
Sometimes it's
store.
an addiction, you know. So you have to treat those
That's it too. There are
sexual
some-
urges
yeah,
as
there are some
addiction
persons who
too.
have sexual addiction.
And I think there's some who
Have to
have
get
that
therapy.
addiction and don't recognize
Recognize that it's
that
an
they do
addiction.
have an addiction.
So get help.
So you could see that this is probably one of the factors why persons in marriages cheat.
Sometimes. There are some persons who tell you that's why. It's as if the woman cannot satisfy his urge, or for the woman, because there are some women who do it. You know, so in fact, there are persons who have sexual addictions and have
So
to get
get help,
therapy,
professional
medication,
help,
so they have to get
yes.
professional help. But you know, you see, when it comes against now to the cultural situation, it might be a challenge, because that would maybe mean a man who is a number one stud, you know?
It all depends on the environment, because in certain culture,
That is,
you are the don.
yeah,
Right.
yes,
And the don is expected to
perform.
Yeah.
And you assume the status as a don, because you go and you interact with your people on the street corner and you tell them, you know, I have this amount of women and I can go 5-6 times for the night, and people just crown you in that culture.
Because you know it's quite a fallacy, you know. You hear some men who'll tell you, oh, you know, all night.
Okay,
Right,
yes,
right.
we know.
Sometimes it's not true.
It's just a perception
Best
that
of
they want them to
them
have.
will have to go to Viagra or other things
at some point in
to go
time.
several times. Okay.
But Denisha, you wanted to broaden the whole aspect of sexuality. It's not just restricted or limited to sex in marriage or just
as a
sex,
single.
but yeah.
The part of sexuality that I think is important for young ladies as we grow into adulthood and as we experience life is, what does it mean for me to be woman?
Yeah.
I am defined as woman. What does woman mean? Why do I cry when I cry? Why do I hurt how I hurt? Why do I focus my energies on building a family? Why, as a successful young lady, intelligent, pretty, all of this, why can't I find a soulmate?
Right.
Why is it that I feel how I feel all the time? And you know, those questions. How do I find myself? How do I have the feminine me emerge? Why do I feel so good about myself when I put my heels on and I walk out on the road? How do I define for myself my own style and what defines me? Those are some of the sexual, the factors affecting sexuality that I think we must look at. And as we groom our young ladies in our churches, in our schools, in our homes, help them to define what it means to be woman.
Because there are many, and you know, as a teacher, I've come across it where, you know, there were some young ladies who figured the way to be appreciated, the way to become popular was to be available. And I remember a situation where we had a young lady a student who just went to a school and she volunteered herself to the whole football team. They had her for the and you know, and I'm telling you, very small. But sometimes there are some persons who don't think they're worthy, don't think that they have any value. Some have been abused when they were young, and so they believe that the only way for somebody to see me or appreciate me is if they can have sex with me.
What about thinking of my value as it relates to my male counterparts? Is it that because I'm female, I'm any less?
Right.
Is it that there are some jobs that I should not even dare to attempt? And there's been a paradigm shift, because you're seeing women as pilots.
Yes,
You're seeing all these jobs are now being dominated by women. What does this mean? There's another part now, you know, that I get a little touchy on. it's the whole female, I'm trying to remember the term for it, where, you know, we don't want guys to open the door for us anymore. No, you know, the female liberation, right? Women's liberation, right? Now, I believe, you know, that as a woman, it does not speak to a weakness, because I expect a man to open the door, and I expect that you're going to treat me in a particular way. You're not going to shout at me. And you're not going to speak to me as if I'm somehow inferior to you. Women's liberation, we have to be careful with that, because it's also helping to erode some of the values in our society. A man ought to open the door for you. He ought to go down the stairs before you to ensure that you don't trip and fall. He ought to extend his hand if he's already down there and you're coming down. These are things that, as a woman, we need to demand that our men do these things for us. Take them to task on it.
And what are some of the things that we are expected to do, though? Because I know, yes, we're looking at it from our perspective, but we also, Lorraine, need to bear in mind that there are things that are necessary on our part too, especially for these relationships to work. So what are some of the things that we can explore?
I think, and again, I can tie it into the women's liberation thing. As women, we've become so strong-headed, strong-minded. We are not pliable. I'm not saying that we're to be weak and, you know, subservient, but we ought to be the softer side of the race. The submissive ones. No, when it comes down to submission, hold on, let's talk about submission. The Bible says that you're to be submissive, right, as the church is to him. Now, let us look at that relationship. Jesus takes care of his church
and loves the church.
He loves his church.
And in return,
everything that he does is in the best interest of his church. Now, if I'm being submissive to a man, it is being as submissive as the church is to a holy and precious God. So therefore, I have no problems with submission if it is as the Bible suggests.
It's not cowering. It's not being afraid of him. It's being respected but loved.
Yes, exactly.
And the thing about it, and if you think back, when you're treated nicely, you tend the softer side.
Yes. You just melt. You just melt. But it is under the influence of justice and peace and all of these things, because there needs to be a level of fairness as we treat with each other.
But that was what women's lib was originally about. The woman being treated equally, but the feminists took it to the other extreme, and some of them started to behave like men. But it was, the fact is, and we have to be real, and it came throughout. Bible times, women were treated as
and our sexuality means, you know, our sexuality means that we do not have to behave like a man.
No,
we do not. We can be the softer sex. We can be the ones who are.
That's why God made Eve for Adam, you know. Exactly. Can you imagine if Eve was just like Adam? What a world.
It would have been what? Yes, quite a world. Yes.
But ladies, we want to segue into the whole idea of alternative lifestyles. This is something that's also creeping into our society. You look at a young man, you're not even sure if he is. You have to look at him again to see if he really is a young man. Some of the young ladies shaving their eyebrows, doing sideburns, doing all sorts of stuff to them.
Okay, I didn't know that one. That one.
And listen.
Well, lesbians and
our young people are faced with these situations every day. I remember at the college, at the university that I attended, I was approached by one, with a letter.
A letter.
I said, I look and I run.
Premeditated.
But the fact of the matter is, it's happening. Even in the church, some people are in the closet. So how can we understand what God's ideal is for us and how we should shun these things? Sandra.
The whole matter of homosexuality, from what I know, every time it appears in the Bible, it appears with a sort of negativity towards it. And if that is so, then it's not right. The act is not right, the thought, the feeling, nothing about it. Because remember now that one of the main purpose of this whole matter of sex is for procreation. You don't have the tools. God did not make you. He made you with some of the tools, and you were to go find your knife. You were to go find your fork.
Yes.
It can't be two spoons.
Right.
It just won't work.
Or 2 plates.
You realize
Or 2
it?
plates.
It's necessary for the penis and the vagina and the sperm and the eggs. I don't possess all of that, so why would or you don't have it, Denisha, so why would I want to go to you for that purpose and to glorify God and all of that?
Okay, question though.
It's just not right.
It's not right. Question though. It's something that's on the increase.
Yes.
From what need has this arisen? Because these things come up because of a perceived need.
There are some persons, well, you know, we have to go with research. And there are some persons who will say, based on their genetics again, there are some persons who have learned. But, you know, my question, though, would be, and this is the reality, that it is affecting the church, it's impacting the church. There are some of our young people who have been involved and some are dealing with it. But my question, how do we deal with them? Do we ostracize these persons, beat them? No.
Change its attitude.
But in fact, it just happened that from the general conference level that we are told we are to treat such individuals with compassion. We are not to mark off people, and it's sin.
And that's the thing, you know, there are some sins that we look at as
worse
than
others,
and then other smaller sins.
So you're going to divide sin from the
sin has a word, right?
My opinion on homosexuality, lesbianism, and all of that is, as I said, it arises out of a need. And from some that I've listened to and I've heard, it's the need for a permanence in a relationship, the need to feel comfortable and, you know, a trustworthy kind of thing. I believe that all of our problems and all these dysfunctions that we're having goes back to a need for a deeper spiritual connection. God must be the it for you. Don't look to a man to satisfy you, because men, and I'm using the term loosely, men will disappoint. We're fallible. Now, there are women who say, I've been in so many relationships with men and they've been this, so I'm going to go there now. Find your center in God. Let him be your rule of thumb. Don't look to a man to make you happy and all of these things, because they will make you unhappy and they will make you cry.
But Denisha, wait. Before we go to the break, there are individuals who've been molested by the same sex. What do you say to them? How do they deal with that? Because their natural inclination might just be for the very same sex.
I'm not a counselor, so I think Sandra would be better to answer this one.
Please rephrase that.
Right, I'm saying that there are individuals who might have been abused and have a natural inclination since that. Just as how a female, when she might be raped, turns to promiscuity. That's something that might occur. For a young boy who was molested by an older male, it could be that one of those things that one of the end results is that he turns to a lifestyle of homosexuality.
And you're rebelling too. My privacy was you invaded my privacy. I may want to go out there too and do the same to somebody else. It could be out of rebellion.
Yeah. And some persons have come to see it as the way to go. You know, I remember a situation where it was when a young lady went to a boarding school, she realized that girls didn't have sex with their fathers.
And let me tell you, Adis, all of these things I will propose to you. Leave them to God. He's the only one who can get you past that past. He's the only one who can remove that hurt and that pain that you feel and restore the right mind inside of you.
Right, and what better note to end this segment on? Denisha Blake and also Sandra Knight. We're talking about sexuality in marriage and in single life. Quite interesting stuff, but we're not done yet. Join us after this break.